Can you give us a bit of a feel as to why the Russian experience with democracy was so different? I'm thinking of Peter Hitchens, who lived there for many years and said that decades of atheistic communism stripped the soul out of the people, and they became perhaps very ill-equipped, I'm putting maybe words in his mouth, to understand how to make democracy work. And so what you got was a very perverted form of democracy and, if you like, crony capitalism rather than real capitalism. You've touched on it in your writings. The very wrong people, the people that decent Russian citizens would have seen as crooks and lowlife, suddenly, under this new form of capitalism, had all the wealth and the power. And I remember 25 years ago running into some of them in Europe thinking, these are not the sort of people that you'd expect to be wealthy and influential. You wouldn't trust them as far as you could throw them.
Well, they're common criminals, most of them. Yeah, quite. I can't give you an exact answer. It's a very complicated question. The other things I didn't even mention in my previous answer is you also had a massive financial crisis, several of them, defaults, ruble, all kinds, inflation. In 1998, John, not 1991, 1998, inflation was 84%.
84%.
84%, right? So we're talking about a society that is completely unstable and unpredictable. I don't know exactly. I think one of the difficulties was, and this probably would have happened no matter what and no matter what country it was, when you go from state ownership of everything, you got to remember, in the Soviet Union, nobody owned anything.
Yeah.
You did not have private property. You were given an apartment, but it wasn't yours to own. It was allocated to you by the state, right? All the manufacturing plants, the oil refineries, all of that was owned by the people, quote unquote, right? How do you go from that to a market economy in which it's private property? Well, someone has to own it. And in a situation like that, where, one of the corroding effects of communism on people's minds is it completely strips everybody of any morality, because it's man is wolf to man, as they say. It's about what you can do, because everything is about bribes, corruption. Can I get this? Can I get that? Because the market mechanisms of going, well, look, I have this thing and you have $10, let's exchange, doesn't work. I have a thing, you have $10, but it's not money I want. I want a favor from you when I need one, and everything becomes about that. And so you've got a huge amount of assets to divide, and a deeply corrupt mentality that exists already in place. Of course, that those assets, that wealth, is going to accumulate in the hands of a small minority of people who are prepared to rob, steal, murder, and do everything that they need to do to achieve it.
I thought when I read your recent material on all of this that the thing that really proved up what you were saying was a direct correlation between the age of Russians and the degree to which they were prepared to support Mr. Putin. Younger Russians have quite a different view to older Russians who really experienced the horrors of the 90s.
They do. That's not to say, by the way, just still 50% of young Russians, according to official polling anyway, support Putin. You've got to be careful with opinion polls in totalitarian regimes. I always give this example, or at least maybe totalitarian is going a little far, but authoritarian dictatorship style regimes. Ceausescu in Romania, for example, had a 93% approval rating the day before he was overthrown and summarily executed. Right. So opinion polling in these kind of countries is not as reliable, but there's a lot of support among young Russian people too. Is just lower than it is elsewhere. And you probably start to see it actually go up now, John, because of the mass campaign of propaganda that's happening in Russia. I hesitate to make this comparison, but I do think it's accurate. So just to be clear, I'm not suggesting Vladimir Putin is Hitler or that Russia is Nazi Germany or anything of the kind. But you've got to understand 80% of Russians get their news from television exclusively. 80%. None of this Twitter, newspaper, whatever. Television exclusively. Russia does not have anymore a single independent TV channel. Does not have a single one radio channel. Newspapers, they've all been shut down. All of them. Children as young as 3 and 4 and 5 in kindergartens are being lined up for photo shoots with this Z thing. Teachers, I know this personally because I have friends in Russia who are in the teaching. They're required to give a daily or weekly update on the quote-unquote special operation in Ukraine. So children are being indoctrinated with this stuff, and the teachers that they are learning their maths and whatever from are the ones delivering it to them, lining them up for photo shoots, etc. So the level of propaganda in Russia is Goebbels-like. And of course, some of the messaging is hitting all the sweet spots of Russian mentality, which is we're under attack, we're fighting Nazism again, just like we did in the 1940s, and we are the ones that defeated the Nazis, etc., etc. So I don't see support for Putin going down until and unless things change dramatically.